Welcome to Productive Joy with Dr. Christie, where fun meets action.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Productive Joy. I have a new friend with me today, Lisa Woodruff, almost Dr. Lisa Woodruff. And by the time this comes out, it will be indeed true. Has joined us today, and she is so many fantastic things. So she is a professional organizer of things and people and humans and stuff. And she's a productivity expert. She's a teacher. She's an author. She is also a competitive jigsawer. She was in a national competition with her grandmother with a jigsaw puzzle. And that to me is exciting. She's a mom, she's a grandma, and she goes by Lovey with her grandbabies. And today she is our guest on Productive Joy. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're going to have some fun. And I am so excited. So I have your book right here, and I cannot wait to talk to you about it. But before we dive in, I would love for you to say something to our audience that's going to make them go, oh, yes, I totally need this woman in my life.
Yeah, you're not broken. The system you're in is broken. Like, women, you're doing a great job. Like, gold star, A+, you're doing an excellent job. You just need more support, and not necessarily more support from other humans, but more support in how we talk to ourselves, in the communities we're in, the picture we have of what success or done looks like. Like, you are fabulous.
Oh, and we all need to hear that 100% of the time. And I have had so much fun going through your book. So it showed up on my door and I was like, oh, okay, I can't wait to dive in. And there are a couple things that I want to point out. So if you guys are not looking yet, look now. There are so many nuggets of wisdom in this book, and they are all indicated by this sweet little house that I'm guessing is that organized 365 logo. But I want to talk about one particular quote that is going to resonate with a lot of the humans that listen to this. And that is on page 26. Until you turn 40, you're still looking to be rescued. After the candles are blown out, you realize you are the rescuer.
Yeah.
Who did that hit home? So tell us a little bit about this fabulous book, Escaping Quicksand, and the impetus for getting us to the point where we do realize we may be the rescuer and it's on us.
Yeah. So Escaping Quicksand is out June 23rd. So you have an early release copy, and everyone actually can get the early audio of the book. If you pre-order and come to the website, you'll get in our book club, and we're dropping one chapter per week so we can go through the book club together. So we'll definitely be through this chapter by the time you hear this. So here's the thing. We are doing all the right effort. Like, we do not have an effort problem as women. We have an order of operations and a results problem, right? And so I was efforting in my 30s and trying to do more and run faster and organize the to-do list better and, sleep less. And eventually you end up down at the bottom of the pit of despair, usually at the end of your 30s. And you realize that there is no rock bottom at the bottom of the pit of despair. It's actually quicksand, and you could actually go lower. And you start to feel like you're going to be swallowed up and like you're just going to disappear. You're going to disappear like from the earth, but also you're going to disappear like the you-ness of you, because you're giving so much to everyone else. And I notice for myself and for others, actually, there is no academic research on this, so we're just going to have to go with my lived experience for this.
That's fair.
Now, when you turn 40, no birthdays are studied, especially this 40th one. And I have yet to meet a woman who does not feel like they're about to be swallowed up whole by the time they turn 40.
Yeah.
And then also, like, Earth is just going to end. Like, I don't know what I thought was going to happen the day after I turned 40, but I had like no memory or thought of what would happen after I turned 40. And then I turned 40. I was like, oh, this isn't bad at all. This is actually very liberating and freeing, and I love it. But I remember in my 30s, I got to such a desperate place where we didn't have money and I didn't have resources. And I felt so depleted. I literally was asking people for money. I was like, just help me pay these bills. Help me figure this out. And what I realized at that point was most of my friends were feeling the exact same way. Like, we were all sinking in quicksand together. Well, if you're all sinking, who's going to save who, right?
Yeah.
And I realized I had to save myself. Now, in my 40s, I started my company. When I turned 40, I started my company, grew it for a decade. I'm in my 50s now. And as I'm writing this book, I'm like, okay, I've taught people how to organize their house, their paper, all that stuff. But what is it that shifted in me, in my mindset in my 40s, that allowed me to become productive, that allowed me to get organized? And it was these mindset shifts that really had me get the ability to even get out of the pit of despair. Because, a lot of people just stay down there and wallow in it
Yeah.
and have no ideas. And organizing your closet feels good in the moment, but doesn't actually change your inner being and how you feel and the hopelessness that you feel. You have to do a couple of different things to get yourself out. And it's an inside game. No one can do it for us.
I love that. I love that you started with the external, right? Because you can feel it, touch it, it's there. But then you had the realization that it's much more internal, and we have got to get it together from the inside out, or the outside doesn't matter. Because you can look unbelievably put together and be a hot flipping mess on the inside. So I'm 49.
Exactly.
And I have to say I have enjoyed my 40s, but I had that same moment of, holy crap, like I'm the adult and I'm not sure. I think that's why that particular quote resonated with me. The buck stops here. Like, I have to handle this. Okay. And then recognizing that there were some things I wanted to do, right? But there were other things that I didn't. And why was I still spending time doing those things when I really could let them go and move on? And your book is just a beautiful conglomeration of practicality for getting to the point where you can breathe. So what changed in you during your 40s? What woke you up to the fact that, okay, first organize the outside, but it's really about what's going on in here?
I think it was realizing no one was coming to save me from my chaos. That was definitely first. But then once I got the house organized, I found that no one was going to mother me the way I wanted to be mothered. So let me explain that. So what I mean is, like, for my daughter and my grandchildren, like if they say, I was thinking about ice cream, I'd be like, get in the car, let's go to the store. Or, oh my goodness, our grandson is going to be a football player. Let's sign him up for the classes. Let's get him in the uniform. Like, how can we support any little inkling of what they want or their talents? But no one was doing that for me as a woman in my 40s, because my dream was to be married and a stay-at-home mom. But I had done that. Like, my kids were in high school now. And so, I mean, I could keep mothering them, and I, of course, am still mothering them, but I realized I had these desires in me to be a business owner, to make an impact, to write books, to do these things that I didn't do in my 20s and 30s purposefully because I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but now I wanted to do other things. Well, guess what? The family didn't really want me to. They were like, can you do that while we're at work and school and still do all the other things? And at first I did, but now, today in my 50s, no. Like, sometimes I'm not at the thing. I'm traveling or I'm doing whatever. And it's uncomfortable because they want me to be a stay-at-home mom. I'm like, what do you want me to be? Stay-at-home dog mom? Do you want me to be a stay-at-home grandma? And my husband's like, yeah. And I was like, no, I mean, I could, but no, it's not my unique gifting in this season. And so for us women, I find in our 40s and 50s, we're like, we want a second act, a third act, a fourth act. And we have a lot of capacity to iterate and change. And again, there is not academia around this. There are only 2 psychologists that have studied adult life stages. They're both men, and they both did it in their 50s, and they both did it back in the 70s and 80s. So Erickson and the one from Harvard. So they're not women. They're not past their 50s. And women, I think, really do just lived experience our life in multiple phases. So ladies, do whatever you want. First of all, nobody's really stopping you. I realize, like, in my company, I'm like, is anybody going to stop me? Like, if I place this order, if I do this thing? And I'm like, no one's stopping me. I can do anything I want.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, no one's encouraging you. So I want to encourage you to do the thing. Yes, you can do it. And sometimes I think our household and what we do in our household is actually holding us back from what we're uniquely gifted and created to do. I don't really think it's men or that men are in these positions of power, all of that. I think is that we as women want to get a gold star and get an A+ and get all of our work done in order to give ourselves permission. It's never going to happen.
No.
Forget it.
Well, I think we don't ever take the time to define success. We just make a lot of assumptions about what success looks like. Success looks like a clean house. Success looks like my children wanting to come home. Okay, yes, all of those are success measurements, but are they yours? Or are they the ones that society has decided you should want or need? And if they are the latter, then what are you going to do to define your own version of success? And I think that is just a beautiful and important thing. So we mentioned that you are almost a doctor. This is coming that today is April 28th. You're less than a month out and it is happening and you did it. And I'm so proud of you. What did you study?
So I studied applied psychology. Now here's the funny thing. I'm like, great, applied psychology. I'm going to study psychology and we will create interventions, which I've created in my company, and we will test them and we will see if they have significant results. Fun fact, in my observation, psychologists like to do a lot of research and talk about the research and then re-research the problem to the point where they have defined the problem ad infinitum, and they literally don't apply jack. Don't. So I'm always like, I'll be with a bunch of researchers. And I'm like, okay, so I'm going to do a research study and I want to test the Sunday basket. And they're like, well, first we think we should figure out if there's cognitive load. I'm like, look around you. There is yeah. And they want to discuss and discuss. And I got to the end of one conversation with a woman and I said, okay, we could do these 18 studies that you just outlined to define the actual problem that we solve. Or we could apply something
and we could try to solve the problem.
Or doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, then we know it doesn't work in academia because I know it works in reality. But, when are you going to try applying a solution? We know that the women do more housework. The only solution that is proposed is that men should do more. Hi, have you ever tried to get anyone other than yourself to do something? Or have you ever tried to get yourself to do anything? No, you can only change you. Like women, we run the household. Great. We've run the whole world for all of eternity. We are running the world. I don't know why you're trying to convince anybody else. Every single female entrepreneur is running a household and running their business. They're running two economic entities. Like, just get the help you need, stop doing the work you don't want to do, and move on. Don't try to convince someone else. You can't convince someone else. So anyway, I'm getting a degree in applied psychology. There are like thousands and thousands of housework studies, and absolutely zero of them do anything about doing an intervention to lighten the housework load. Is that not shocking?
Well, because that's a solution that's outside the box.
Well, Lillian Gilbreth, all the way back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, because she was an efficiency expert. We moved in psychology from efficiency to economic impact to genderism of housework. Well, okay, so we've defined genderism of housework. Can we go back to efficiency, please? Because Lillian Gilbreth gave us the pedal trash can, and she gave us the organization inside of refrigerators. She created the triangle in the kitchen. She designed an amazing kitchen that is better than anything we have today. And we moved away from her efficiency into, I don't even know what we're in now. We're just defining the overwhelm and making us all feel more and more overwhelmed for the overwhelm we have.
Oh my goodness. Well, I love everything about what you're saying for so many reasons, but the biggest one is that you recognize the need for practicality. It is one thing to know better. It is something else entirely to do better. And I think what you're attempting to do, and I'm very proud of you for, is to bridge that gap, right? That knowing doing gap, and go from, okay, I know I should fill in the blank to I am going to, because like you said, you can only control yourself. I talk about it this way. This little teeny tiny hole right there is your sphere of control. And this, if you put your arms as wide as it will go, is your sphere of influence. And we live in the control instead of the influence. And we need to live in the influence. So it's shifting. What you're doing is you are shifting people's understanding of what's within their control and in their influence and getting them to do something, which is beautiful. That is my call to action at the end of every episode. I would call that productive joy. And I would love to hear your actual definition, because now is your chance to put your spin on the idea of productive joy, because everybody gets their own definition.
Okay, so productive is to produce, like to do something, to do producing. And I think as women, we get caught in production for production's sake, writing things on the to-do list to check it off, to feel better about it, right? So productive joy is doing things that also make you joyful. Now, of course, cleaning toilets, I don't think that makes anyone joyful, but we all have to do it, right? So some of the things we have to do. So we have to be productive, but there should be at least something on that list every day that brings you joy.
Yeah. Well, and maybe it is a joy bringing activity because you like a clean bathroom, right? Like, so it's also looking at, this is a means to an end to get me to the point where I can rest or I can enjoy my space because it's not a mess. And I know that's what Organize 365 does, is it gives people the ability to create a space that doesn't feel like a mess. I think about, both my kids struggle with anxiety, and cleaning is not something that they do very well, right? Like organizing, I guess I should say organizing, because it gets out of hand and then it causes the anxiety to get worse. And it's a cycle, right? So you're breaking that cycle for people practically, which I love. So that productive joy definition is a beautiful one. How do you help people create it?
So I think by lowering the expectation of what done looks like.
Ooh.
You ask people, do you believe organization is a learnable skill? And I've replicated my study 4 times. And we have over 5,000 people who have replied, and it's 85 to 87%, depending on which study you're looking at that I've done, of people who believe organization is a learnable skill. Then I ask them, do you think you're organized? And I give them 4 different categories. And they're like, no. It's like 17 to 23% in each of the categories.
Oh, funny.
So you believe it is learnable, and yet you don't have the done. And you're in education, and I was in education. And as a teacher, you should be able at the end of 4th grade to have done the 4th grade proficiencies, right?
Yeah.
So if you put a whole year into organizing your house, you should be able at the end of the year to go, and I'm done. Now, not that you're not going to need maintenance, but sometimes or often we organize areas that are going to continually get unorganized instead of focusing on areas that will remain done.
Mhm.
And so I really want us to have a, what does done look like? And not what you see on TV or not what you see on Instagram. Like whenever I show like, oh my gosh, look how clean my kitchen is. Then I turn around and go, look how trash the family room is. Because you can get one little area clean, but to get the whole house organized at the same time, I mean, perfection just isn't a thing. It's just
No.
not a thing.
No.
So we really need to strive for excellence, not perfection.
Oh, so well said. So I read a book by Christie right this second. I'm probably not going to be able to remember the name of it. It'll come to me eventually, but she talked about what makes it over the priority line each day, because ultimately you have to prioritize your life. You can't, her book is about work-life balance and that there is no such thing. And the idea is every day you set a priority line, and what makes it above the line gets done and what doesn't. So like you said, the kitchen made it above the line. The family room did not. It's okay. Shut the door.
Yes.
Walk away. It is not for today. And I know I struggle with that. I'm guessing that some of our listeners might as well, where, and I can't sit down until I've done all of these things. So have you ever done the love languages, Gary Chapman's love languages?
Yes.
So my husband is a quality time person, and I am an acts of service. And we've been married almost 27 years. And it has taken us most of those 27 years to recognize that when I'm running around the house in the evening, trying to get everything put away, done, lunches packed, whatever, feed the dog, all the things, and he's sitting on the couch waiting for me to come sit down and watch TV with him, there is a reciprocation that could have happened there where he helped me with all of this stuff. And I then could sit down and not be exhausted. Do you find that to be a pattern? And how do we break that pattern?
So that's interesting. I have on the podcast talked about many personality tests, love languages being one of them. And I say that you as the CEO of your household should know your staff.
Yeah.
Not like they report to you or anything, but you need to know the family that you're in and understand all the uniquenesses so there's better matches and for communication. And so, I think that you should do all of them. Know what everybody's Enneagram number is and their Myers-Briggs, and we know the Cole.
What's your Enneagram?
And all of them.
What's
ENTJ.
Oh, okay. Well, that's your Myers-Briggs. What's your Enneagram?
Oh, I'm a 3.
You're a 3. That stands to reason. I'm a 7. I'm the enthusiastic author.
You're fine.
I am. I mean, productive joy. Hi. Well, and you're fascinating, Lisa, for so many reasons. The biggest one being that you're a learner through and through. We didn't even really talk about the fact that you're an educator at heart. What did you teach besides kids?
So I got 2 degrees, one in early childhood and one in elementary education. So I taught 4-year-old preschool, kindergarten, then I taught computer for kindergarten through 8th grade, and then I taught Montessori, middle school, math and science.
Oh my gosh, nice. Okay, and then you transitioned into being what you wanted to be when you grew up, which is pretty awesome. What advice would you have for somebody that's currently in a situation where they're like, this is not my gift, but I'm doing it and I'd like to be doing something else? What would be your advice to that woman or man?
Yeah. So what I would say is, do with excellence the job that you have today and really dream about the job that you want next. So really start to get very clear on what you think you want that to be. You may journal. What I like to do is, I don't know, when I'm going to bed and I'm thinking, I start to vision like what my future life would be. Like, for example, when I did my first live event, every night when I went to bed for months, I would imagine being on that stage, the people being in the audience, me going through my talk. And I would keep going through my talk and, I'm going to add this. I know, and make sure I bring this with me. And when I finally got to that day, when I was doing that convention in 2018, I had already run through it so many times. I had no anxiety. It was so much fun. I was able to enjoy it. There was nothing that I forgot. Or if you're trying to make a hard decision, this is another one. So if you're trying to make a hard decision, I don't know if I should do this thing or I should do this thing. Then as you go to bed, pretend that you've made decision A and play it all the way through. What does this look like next week, next month, next year, 5 years from now? Then the next night you go to bed, okay, I made decision B. Play that out next week, next month. And sometimes when you start to go like, oh, this would work for a year, but wow, if I continue on this and it's a travel position, 3 years from now when my kids are in high school, I'm not going to like that. Like when you start to give a different timeline. I love to play with time. I love to play with hours, minutes, days, weeks. Like I just love to manipulate time in so many different ways. And it really helps you make better decisions.
Definitely. Well, and everybody doesn't have that unique genius. So I'm sure you know that is a unique genius. And I love that you're sharing it with people in a practical way, because I don't play with time like that. Like I can get stuff done. I don't have a problem with that. But I'm not one that goes, ooh, wonder what would happen if we shifted this and did that over there. And so I love that you're leaning into that brilliance and that you've created spaces for people to follow you in that way. So Escaping Quicksand, June, they can get it. Where can they get it? And then you mentioned briefly, and it was quick, so I want you to mention it again, about the dropping of chapters so that people could get excited now.
Yes. So Escaping Quicksand is out June 23rd. It's already available everywhere you buy books. So wherever you like to buy books, you can go pre-order a copy. When you pre-order a copy, then go to organize365.com and there's a banner there for Escaping Quicksand, or you can go to escapingquicksand.com and you'll just put in your receipt, and then that will tag you for our book club. So we have a private app, kind of like Facebook, but it's not Facebook. And when you go in there, there'll be a feed and people will be talking. And then every week I'm going to drop an audio chapter. I'm going to drop a little video that goes with the book, and then I'll drop a question and we're going to have a conversation about that question. So it's a real life book club. And by the time we get to the end of May, we'll already be through the book a month before it comes out. But the best part is we're going to implement it together. Like as we go through each chapter, we're going to be able to experience it together. And that's something that I find as women, as adults, like we feel alone a lot in our houses when we're looking at all our to-do lists and all the things we have to do. We feel like we're the only one, and you're not. Really want to normalize we have very similar thoughts and feelings. And if you're productive and you want to get productive at home, these are your friends who are doing the same thing. So you can find people that are like-minded in the book club.
Because there's so much power in the safety of a tribe and knowing that, oh, okay, I am not the only one having these thoughts and feelings. We have discovered that in marriage. We've discovered that in friendships. It is super important that you not go at it alone, right? It just doesn't work. So Lisa, I could talk to you all day, and yet I know people would eventually stop listening, and we don't want that. So would you be willing to answer some rapid fire questions?
Yes, I would.
Okay, I know you know what they are. I can't wait to hear your answers. Okay, because you've been a listener, which is exciting. What is your definition of fun?
My definition of fun is whatever I want to do with that time. I mean, even if it's an obligation, I still might have fun doing it. I like to, you got to do it anyway. You might as well have fun.
Oh, and I appreciate that answer, because sometimes it's organizing a closet that would not be fun to anyone else. But if I have dedicated this time to do that thing, right now we have mold in our bathroom, and we had to move everything out of our bathroom and closets. And so it has been an event of epic proportion, one I don't ever want to repeat. And now I feel like I have stuff everywhere. And so it would bring me such joy to just get to put that back together. Give it a few weeks, maybe soon. How do you know that you are showing up as your authentic self?
How do I explain it? I just don't have any concern or worry, or, I just feel at peace.
I like the word peace there. And I would say that today you have brought your authentic self, for sure.
Oh, thank you.
How do you channel your best self on your worst days?
Well, if you're not feeling well or you're very overwhelmed, I often stop and I think not about how I'm feeling, but what do I want to remember of this day? Because the feeling will pass. Like even if you don't feel well, you have a migraine, whatever, like hopefully tomorrow you will feel better. So then looking back on today, how will I have hoped that I acted or bring my best self? Or also just like, yes, I'm in pain. Yes, this is overwhelming. What is the next step I can do? And I just take that step and I just keep taking the next step. And sometimes when I'm sick, I'm just like, and it's a sick day. So we're just going to call it a day.
And scene, right? Okay. Last question, tough question, because you have said so many brilliant things, but by nature, our brains really hold on to one major idea. So if you had to leave us with one major idea today, what would it be?
Really, ladies, that you are all women of excellence, that you are doing a great job. You are excellent at what you're doing. You're giving excellent effort. There is no such thing as perfection. So give yourself some grace.
Well said, Lisa. Well said. Listeners, if you didn't grab something, I don't think you were paying good attention. And I'm really hopeful that you will go grab this book, that you will recognize that you are capable of shifting your tomorrow. And you do have a lot of control, both externally and internally, with this whole organization thing. And we have a guide in Lisa Woodruff, almost doctor. She is going to be super helpful. So Lisa, thank you for being a guest on Productive Joy today.
Thank you.
Yay. Okay, listeners, you know what I'm going to ask you to do. You got to grab something and you've got to figure out a way today to turn fun into action.